love, after 60, the perfect intimacy duration. For Motal Climax, 99% of men don't know. Most older men think lasting longer is the key to great intimacy. That belief is exactly why they never experience multiple satisfy. Because pleasure doesn't grow endlessly with time. There's a precise moment when it multiplies, and almost no man aims for it. It's Vernon again. I'll reveal what actually matters about intimacy duration after 60 through 5 overlooked truths. Before we dive in, if you're someone who wants honest advice about intimacy, health, relation satisfaction, and living fully after 60, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. You'll get more guidance on men's health after 60, intimacy, confidence, tips, and marriage wisdom that actually works. Let's start by talking about the belief that quietly does the most damage. 1. The pressure to last long is destroying confidence. We've been measuring intimacy the wrong way our entire lives. Somewhere along the way we absorbed this idea that real men last forever. That bedroom confidence means iron control. That if you finish too soon you failed. And that belief, that single toxic belief, destroys more intimacy than any physical issue ever could. When you're constantly worried about how long intimacy should last, you're no longer present. You're not feeling. You're not connecting. You're just watching the clock in your mind, terrified it'll run out before you've performed. For years I turned every intimate moment into a test I was afraid of failing. I wasn't enjoying my partner. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was just managing anxiety, trying to delay the inevitable, praying I could hold on long enough to prove I was still a man. That's not intimacy. That's torture. And here's what makes it worse. When you try to control your body through sheer willpower, you create tension. Your muscles tighten. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your mind disconnects from sensation. And ironically, that tension makes early finishing intimacy help even harder to find, because you're fighting your own nervousy. Doesn't just ruin the moment. It rewires how you experience pleasure. It turns what should be joyful into something you dread. Real intimacy and connection can't survive in that environment. The greatest intimacy I've ever experienced didn't happen when I lasted the longest. It happened when I finally stopped trying to prove something and just showed up fully, honestly, vulnerably. As the poet Rumi once said, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." Rumi. Have you ever felt like intimacy became more about passing a test than enjoying the moment? Drop a comment below and share your experience. You're not alone in this. Once you see how damaging that pressure is, a deeper question starts to surface. Real data tells a very different story when you look at how intimacy actually unfolds, not how people talk about it. The average time is about 5 to 6 minutes from start to finish. Not 30 minutes, not an hour, just 5 to 6 minutes for most men. And this is the part many men never hear. The issue, that length of time is completely normal. There is nothing wrong with it, nothing lacking, nothing that needs to be fixed. The male body is designed for quick arousal and quick release. That isn't a flaw, a weakness, or age catching up. It's simply how the body works. The trouble begins when men stop comparing themselves to reality and start measuring themselves against myths, porn expectations, locker room stories, and standards that were never real to begin with. I remember the first time this truth settled in. I felt relief realizing I wasn't broken, and anger. The issue, that quiet shame, doesn't come from the body. It comes from comparison. Normal does not mean inadequate. Normal means human. And once you accept that, you can stop chasing an impossible standard and start focusing on what actually matters: connection, presence, and shared pleasure. Between two people who accept each other as they are. I spent too many years fighting my own body instead of learning to work with it. The wisdom here is simple. When you accept what is real, you create space for what is meaningful. That realization changes how you interpret a single word your partner often uses. 3. Longer is often a misunderstood request. This is where most men misunderstand intimacy without ever realizing it. Because when a woman says longer, she's rarely talking about time. A few years ago, I finally worked up the courage to ask my partner what she actually wanted from our intimate life. I expected her to say, "I wish it lasted longer." Instead, she said, "I wish you'd slow down before we even start. I wish you'd look at me. I wish it didn't feel like you're rushing to some finish line I'm not even running toward." That hit me like a freight fall. She wasn't asking for more stamina. She was asking for more presence. And that's the misunderstanding that ruins intimacy for so many men after 60. When a partner says, "I want it to last longer," most men hear, "You're not good enough. You need to delay. You need to perform better." But what she's often really saying is, "I want you to be here with me, not inside your own head." She's not asking for endurance. She's asking for attention, for care, for the feeling that she matters more than the mechanics. This is where the importance of foreplay and intimacy becomes everything. It starts with a look, a touch, a conversation, a moment of genuine connection. The best intimacy I've experienced in my 60s didn't involve any special techniques or lasting longer in intimacy. It involves slowing down, being present, and making my partner feel seen. That's what she meant by longer. She is asking for presence, not endurance. If this resonates with you, share this video with a friend or in a group where men are trying to figure this stuff out. Real talk like this doesn't happen often enough. From that moment on, time quietly steps out of the spotlight. For quality beats duration. Every time you can have 30 minutes of intimacy that feels empty and leaves both people disconnected, or you can share 5 minutes that leave both partners breathless and deeply loved. The difference isn't the time on a clock, it's presence, the willingness to be fully there with another person, without distraction. Think about the moments in your life that still stay with you years later. They weren't the longest moments, they were the moments when you were completely alive and present. Intimacy follows the same rule. Depth of experience matters far more than duration. Confidence in the bedroom isn't about stamina or technique. It's about connection, two people choosing to meet each other honestly without hiding behind performance. This is especially true for intimacy wellness for men after 60, when our bodies change and certain physical challenges become part of life. Our bodies change. Testosterone support after 60 becomes more important. Prostate health for intimacy matters, and erection health for intimacy may require attention, but none of that defines whether intimacy is good or not. None of those physical changes determine whether two people can find joy. What defines it is whether two people feel met in the moment, seen for who they really are, wanted despite every imperfection. What matters is whether they feel enjoyed for their whole selves, not just their bodies, and that has nothing to do with performance. The quality of attention you bring to a single touch can communicate more love than an hour of distracted mechanical movement ever could. The depth of your presence when you look into your partner's eyes can create more intimacy than any technique you could learn. When you understand this truth, when you really let it sink into your bones, you stop chasing duration and start creating moments worth remembering. You stop performing and start connecting. And that's when intimacy becomes what it was always meant to be, between two people. This perspective becomes especially important as life and the body evolve. 5. Communication is the missing key. Most older men would rather guess what their partner wants than actually ask. Asking feels vulnerable. It feels like admitting you don't fully know. And men are taught early on that we're supposed to know, especially when it comes to intimacy. But guessing almost always leads to disappointment. She's hoping you'll somehow understand what she needs without saying it. You're hoping you're doing it right. And slowly both of you feel more frustrated, more disconnected, wondering why intimacy doesn't feel the way it once did. The solution is simpler than most men expect. It starts with an honest conversation. Not in the middle of the moment, though, even that can be meaningful when done with care, but before, after, in quiet, pressure-free moments where honesty feels safe. Ask her what she enjoys most when you're together. Ask if there's anything she wishes you did more of. Ask how you can make her feel more loved. And then, this is the part many men struggle with. Listen without defending yourself. Don't hear her words as criticism, hear them as trust, as a gift. Because when open communication becomes normal, intimacy changes, and not just in the bedroom, the entire relationship begins to soften, deepen, and feel safer for both of you. One of the most damaging myths men carry is the belief that great lovers are born, not made, that real men should just know what to do. But that's not wisdom, that's pride. Real men are willing to learn, adjust when needed, and grow alongside their partner. The best intimacy of my life didn't begin until I learned to talk openly about it, and that didn't happen until my 60s. For decades I stayed silent, I assumed, I performed, and I missed out on real connection. Now I ask, I listen, I adapt, and the result is a kind of intimacy that feels calm instead of pressured, where both people feel safe, seen, and satisfied. In the words of Epictetus, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Great intimacy is built through understanding, not assumption. The issue: you can save this video and come back to it whenever you need a reminder of what truly matters in intimacy after 60. By now you've just discovered something 99% of men never learn. That the perfect intimacy duration has nothing to do with how long you last, and everything to do with how deeply you connect. Intimacy isn't a performance. It's not a test of your manhood. It's not something you pass or fail. It's a space where 2 people meet, honestly, vulnerably, joyfully. When you stop trying to prove yourself and start showing up fully, everything changes. Confidence returns, not from lasting longer but from letting go of false standards. Your partner feels seen not because of performance, but because of presence. As the great philosopher Alan Watts once said, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." It is so plain and so obvious and so simple, and yet everybody rushes around in a great panic as if it were necessary to achieve something beyond themselves. Alan Watts: you don't need to achieve anything. You just need to be here. What's one thing you've learned today that you're going to try in your own relationship? Share it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future advice on love after 60, intimacy, confidence. And I'm Vernon again. Thanks for watching till now. I'll see you in the next video.